Welcome. Thank you for joining me in this workshop. Together, we're going to explore something that I think is a bit of a mystery to many people, and if we can, do something about it. The mystery comes out of my own experience. The older I get, the more I realize how ignorant I am. What I'm so ignorant of is myself. What kind of a creature is a conscious human being? What difference does it make that we're conscious? Turns out no one seems to know. Trying to answer that question led me to other questions, and again I found I was ignorant of them. And nobody else seemed to know about them either. It's these fundamental issues I want us to explore in this workshop. I'm convinced, at the root of my ignorance, there's something fundamental I don't understand. Some piece of basic information I'm missing. If we could identify that piece of information, I'm convinced I could roll back all my ignorance, and together we could take a major step forward in our understanding of ourselves. Because I feel so ignorant about all this, I've asked two guests to come and help me. Both of them know more about these issues than I do, at least that's what they tell me. Let me introduce them. Over here will be Sunny. Sunny is me when I was 30. I was a physicalist. For me, the whole world, including ourselves, consisted of nothing but physical matter. No gods, nothing supernatural, nothing spiritual. Physics, that was the key to everything. Mr. Science, that's Sunny. On this side will be Granddad. He's the even older man I'm on the way to becoming. Granddad completely disagrees with Sunny. Granddad insists there's more to living creatures like us than just matter and physics. There's creativity and free will, for example. That's Granddad. Together, we're going to be talking about these issues. Every so often, we're going to break for discussion, we can share opinions, and you can question my guests. I must warn you, I'm very conflicted about these issues. The conversation could get quite heated. If this makes you uncomfortable, please don't hesitate to get up and leave. I won't mind. I don't want anybody to feel uncomfortable. Now, any questions about this format before we go on? Any questions? No? All right, then let me bring out our guests. Sunny, come and join us. Are you okay? Yes, I'm fine. Oh, is this one of your workshops? Oh, jolly good, jolly good. Hello, hello. I'm ready. Okay. Granddad, come and join us. Are you all right? I'm as good as I'm ever gonna be, I guess. Yeah, I'm afraid that's probably true. Ready? Okay? All right. Then let's begin. Consciousness. What is it? Oh, well, let's ask our guests. Sunny, can you define consciousness for us? Define it? I can't define it. You can only know what it is by experiencing it. That since we do all experience it, I suppose we can say it's that experience. It's something you have to experience anything else. How's that? Oh, that was fine, thank you. Granddad? I experience consciousness as a stream of impressions, feelings, ideas, intentions. It includes things like being able to wonder at something, come up with questions, alternatives, judgment, empathy, feeling sorry for someone, feeling sorry for yourself. That's what consciousness means to me. Well, thank you. Good. So, anything to add to that? Anything else you would like to change? Let's take a break for discussion now, so that we can all come to agree on consciousness before we carry on further with the workshop. So, we know we're conscious, and from our experience of consciousness, we know what it feels like. So, we're not ignorant about consciousness itself. But here's something I don't know. Can consciousness by itself make a difference? Can it by itself tell us what to do? Or is it nothing more than a feeling? Sonny, tell us what you think. What I think is... No, what I know is it's just a feeling. And here's how I know. Conscious experiences aren't physical. Not being physical, they can't apply physical force to anything. So they can't make anything physical happen, like make our bodies do anything. It has to be something that is physical, that tells us what to do, like our bodies and our brains. It's only then we can become conscious of it. Basically, we're just machines. Sunny, are you saying you're purely physical? I wonder, why would anyone want to think that about themselves? Why would anyone want to be their friend? It'd be like trying to be a friend with a robot reading off a script. Are you talking about me? I can be a friend just as well as anybody else. Being a friend doesn't take consciousness. We engage with one another through our brains and our senses. But what about your feelings? When you say to someone you have feelings for them, what are they going to believe? You don't have feelings? Yes, I do. Just because I know it's my brain that generates them doesn't make them any different from yours. They're the same feelings, that they're just physical. It's like water flying from a faucet. Any minute physics could turn them off. A faucet doesn't have what I call feelings. Sonny, calm down. Grandad, don't get so personal. What do you think? Do you think consciousness can make a difference in what we do? Well, let's find out. I'll turn consciousness off. Let's see what happens. Well, that didn't work, did it? Nothing happened. Of course consciousness makes a difference. It's where our thoughts first double up in strings, building one on another, leading to our decisions, what to say, what to do. To be conscious, you do need a body and a brain, but once you're conscious, that takes over and tells you what to do. You don't need physics to tell you. In my young day, we called that free will. Without free will, you'd just be a lump staring into space, waiting for instructions that might never come. Are you talking about me? I'm no more waiting for instructions than you are, and you know that very well. Could you just not take everything so personal? I wish you two would get along. Grandad says decisions can originate in consciousness. If we weren't conscious, we'd come to a complete stop. Sonny says our decisions originate in what's physical about us, our bodies and our brains. It's only then that we can become conscious of them. What do you think? Do you agree with Grandad that we can have free will? Let's break for discussion. Do you have any questions for my guests? So, we still don't know whether consciousness by itself can tell us what to do. But surely it would help if we knew how consciousness worked. Let's ask our guests. Sonny, how does consciousness work? consciousness comes from our brains being so complex, able to process so much information. It's purely physical. Oh yes, that space rover NASA sent to Mars, that was pretty complex, that until someone tells it what to do, it won't do anything. Complexity? That's not enough. Well, if complexity isn't the answer, Grandad, what's your answer? The brain's complex, all right. That's because it's alive. That's why we're conscious. Only living creatures can be conscious. Oh no, Grandad's become a vitalist. Oh, go on, Grandad. Once matter enters a living creature, it changes. Take a muscle cell, it's tacked from one end to the other with molecules that slip and slide alongside one another. Gather them up in bundles, supply them with the nerve cells, and you got a muscle, like a bicep. Here, show them. Make a fist. See, he can contract that whole muscle whenever he wants, consciously. He can't do anything consciously any more than we can. Go on, Grandad. That's complexity. It runs all the way from the molecular level, like that muscle cell, up to the consciousness itself. Physics, that's much more complexity than physics can handle. Think you're bound by today's physics and you're selling yourself short. What's happened to you? Are you losing your grip? You keep making things up. Oh, come on now, let's be civil. You've no kind of theory a physicist would accept. Physics sets absolute limits to what's possible, inside living cells and out. Consciousness being free of physics to any degree, it's impossible. It's unthinkable. Oh, yes? Well, when you defined consciousness, didn't you tell us you experienced it? Speaking something physical, isn't it? Wasn't that conscious experience making your mouth move? No, that was my brain reporting on itself. Consciousness is no more than a sort of a viewfinder the brain uses to check up on itself. It's like a camera. The viewfinder can tell you what's going on, but it can't press the button and take the picture. Consciousness is not something separate from the brain. It is the brain. It's a part of the brain. It's the brain reflecting on itself. When I said I experienced consciousness, that was my brain making my mouth move. Well, I don't know. Between the two of you, you're making me feel more confused than I was before. Sonny says consciousness is purely physical. It comes from the brain being so complex. Grandad says physics has nothing to do with it. We're conscious because we're living creatures. Living creatures can be conscious, can have free will. What do you think? Let's take another break. Which of them is right? Which one do you find more persuasive? So, trying to answer the question, how does consciousness work, didn't help us figure out whether consciousness by itself could tell us what to do. Maybe that was the wrong question. Maybe we need to ask ourselves another question. Can we be creative? If I can be genuinely creative whenever I want, that means I'm not totally predictable. And then my consciousness is not totally bound by physics. And it could be something that tells us what to do. Grandad, what do you think? Can we be creative? On our way here, we came across a bridge, remember? Unusual looking bridge. I've never seen one like it. So yes, of course we can be creative. Look around you. People are all the time creating new things no one's ever seen or heard of before. Bridges, works of art. So yes, of course, we can be creative. That all depends what you mean by creative. If you mean simply something new to you, then yes, you can be creative. But if you mean something that would violate physics, then no, we can't be creative. If it would violate physics, consciousness cannot be creative. But aren't we different from things that are purely physical? Volcanoes don't erupt any differently than how they used to. Earthquakes don't write sonnets, tell stories. Snowflakes still come in the same 100 or so patterns they always did. Storms aren't creating any new ones. So we create new stuff all the time. I suppose humans did evolve to crave novelty, so they're driven to keep changing things. That whatever they do to change things is only a matter of degree. They're determined just like everything else in the universe. You can't change that. So, you really do believe you're a robot following a script? Well, let me tell you, you didn't pass that script on to me. I'm not following any script. Oh, that chair, that table, I could move them. Without me here, nothing would happen. But with me here, me and him, you can't tell where that chair and that table are gonna be. Doesn't that make us creative? No. That's just physics working through you. Every physical event must have a physical cause. Whatever you do, that's just you doing what physics makes you do. You're simply a link in a chain of physical causes, whether it's you moving those chairs or him. I give up. There's no making sense of this. We don't seem to speak the same language. Well, I don't know whether moving chairs and tables counts as being creative, but I've been paid to be creative, to come up with things no one's ever seen or heard of before, as a graphic designer. I made these two characters. I made you, Sonny. Doesn't that make me creative? I wish you wouldn't bring that up about making me. But even if you did, that doesn't make me any different from anybody else. I can be just as creative as you. That is, not creative at all. They can agree about nothing. Sonny says, every physical event must have a physical cause. So everything we do is determined by what happened in the past, and we can't be genuinely creative. Grandad says, just look around you. It's obvious we can be creative. We're being creative all the time. We're not determined, and we could have free will. What do you think? Let's break for discussion. Can you be creative, or is everything you do determined? We don't seem to know the most basic things about human nature. Look, I know what you're after. I think I can help. Tell them what we're made of. You mean you and Grandpa? Yes. I thought this was too embarrassing. I know how important this is to you. All. Go ahead. Tell them. Well, paint and paper, foam core, PVC tubing. You see, it's all just physical. Now, tell us what you're made of. Oh, I'm made of a lot of very complex molecules. Proteins, calcium in my bones. You see, it's all just matter. We're all the same. The main difference between you and us is we were made by you and you evolved. The evolved creatures are just the same. They're totally made of matter. So evolution's a purely physical process. When you're made by a purely physical process, then you're purely physical too. And everything about you is determined by physics, including all your decisions. Oh. Hold on, Sonny. You don't judge a process by the materials it uses, you judge it by what it produces. You don't judge a bakery by the flour and water going in, you judge it by the bread coming out. Let's take something coming out of evolution and see what that tells us about the process. What shall we take as something coming out of evolution? How about science? Science is made by scientists, and they evolve just like other human beings. And what do scientists do? They run experiments. Let's see what that tells us about the process of science. All right? Yes, go ahead. All right, what do scientists do to run an experiment? They come up with a question no one's ever thought to ask before. Nothing purely physical can do that. Then they think of an experiment no one's ever thought of in order to test it. Nothing purely physical can do that. Then, from the results of their experiment, they decide which of their answers is correct. They say what the meaning of the experiment is. Nothing purely physical can do that. So, what does that tell us? It tells us that just for science to exist, scientists must be more than purely physical. No God here, no creationism, just what scientists do every day to practice science. And if you're going to judge a process by what it produces, then the process of evolution must have some of that know-how too. Sonny, he says the sheer existence of science tells us that what drives evolution can't be purely physical. Yes, well, let's make up some new theories, shall we? The moon is made of green cheese, and evolution can think. What can you say? It's just nonsense. It's known what drives evolution is natural selection and genetic mutation. It's purely physical, and that's agreed by everybody. Why listen to Granddad's crackpot theories? Crackpot? Crackpot? Well, let's see about that. You go ahead. I've got a little thinking to do. What was Grandad saying? I think he was saying that physics can't study itself. Think of physics as a box. Then, when you ask questions about what's in that box, when you come up with experiments to test what's in that box, when you judge your results to decide what is true about what's in the box, you're thinking outside that box. A physicist is more than just physics. What do you think? Let's break for discussion. Can you think outside that box? Or is all your conscious experience in that box along with the rest of physics? Grandad, I still seem to be missing something fundamental about myself. What have you come up with? I've come up with another question for you evolved creatures to ask yourselves. What should your theory of evolution account for? Well, living creatures, of course. But which ones? Why not the ones you know best? Yourselves. You humans know yourselves better than you know any other kind of living creature, because you know yourselves from the inside. So, shouldn't your theory of evolution account for human nature the way you humans are conscious of it? What a good idea! Oh, Sonny, is that possible? Could you do that? Not yet. Theories don't apply to things like that. They apply only to simple creatures, you know, bacteria, worms, in the lab, things like that. Then we just extrapolate those theories up to eventually mammals and even humans, and assume they still apply. But suppose they don't? Well, it's the best we can do. What more can you ask? We could ask that you admit it when there's something physics can't account for. Instead, you just say it doesn't exist. Consciousness, free will, creativity. You just come up with a theory that defines the matter of existence. No, we didn't. It's just that we want people to go on believing in physics until we can come up with those answers. It's where the answers are bound to come from in the long run. We're sure of that. You know, if what Grandad says is true, this theory of evolution of yours, it was never meant to account for how we evolved. It's been about saving physics. It could be that between you and Grandad, you've come up with what it is that's making me feel so ignorant. Just give us a little more time. Trust us. We're making all these decisions for your sake. Trust you? I don't want physicists making decisions of what parts of human nature I have to give up. Is that what's been going on? No, of course not. At last you're getting smart. Here's another question for you to ask yourself. Any part of human nature you value, ask yourself, could today's physics come up with a theory of evolution that would account for it? And pretty soon you'll find it's Sonny who's the crackpot, not me. Ask of ourselves about things we value, whether today's physics could be the basis of a theory of evolution to account for it. How about solving crossword puzzles? Could physics account for that? Yeah, I think it can actually. There's a computer Watson probably could solve crossword puzzles. But would it want to? A lot of what we do for the sake of conscious experiences, how things will feel, how they'll taste. Most of what we do for the sake of conscious experiences. So it would seem as if consciousness must be able to tell us what to do. But Sonny says it can't. What do you think? What do you think about things, aspects of human nature that are valuable to you? Do you think a theory of evolution based on physics could account for them? Let's break for discussion and talk about this. Sonny, I find in myself things I value that I can't do without, that it seems to me modern science, today's science, can't account for. I think this is what's been making me feel so ignorant all along. Science can't even account for us having conscious experiences. You admitted you had them too, so you can't deny they exist. How do you account for them? I admit, today's physics can't, that tomorrow's will. Well, for once we agree. Today's physics can't, tomorrow's physics will. That, until then, we could all die first before we come to understand our true nature. So, let's come up with this true new science right now, okay? You want us to come up with a new science right now? Where do we start? It doesn't matter. You have to start with one thought or another, some kind of conscious experience. So just to begin, you have to acknowledge we are conscious, that consciousness exists. Then you're bound to ask, where else does it exist? What's special about our conscious experience, our thinking? Isn't it the way one thought follows another, unpredictably over time? Isn't that how living species follow one another over time, unpredictably? So isn't the natural next place to look for consciousness in the process of evolution itself? Isn't that where we are likely to have got our process of thinking from? Hold on. Those are crazy ideas. I'm not going to have those in the workshop. They don't belong. But I've not finished. I've a lot more to say. I'm not going to let you go on. You're just going to spoil everything you've already said. How can anyone take anything you say seriously? See, I've been saying that all along. No one paid any attention to me. Well, you're just as crazy as he is. Your theory is just as crazy. What have we got to account for how we evolved? Just these two crazy theories. What are we to believe? Where do we go from here? For one last time, let's break for discussion. Do you have anything to add? Any questions for our guests? My two guests entirely failed to agree. The questions remain. What kind of a thing is a conscious human being? What must the world be like if conscious human beings like us can evolve within it? The workshop is closed. Thank you. It gets right.